स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय Ramakrishnaaya te namaha. Hello and welcome to these group of talks on Sri Ramakrishna's disciples. Today is actually Swami Abhedananda's Sthiti Puja, and it's also the day. It's an auspicious day, and it is called Mahalaya. The day before the Devi Paksha of Navaratri, when we offer darpan or water to our deceased ancestors. It is also the birth anniversary, according to the lunar calendar, of Swami Abhedananda. This is his picture here. And he's one of the monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. But according to our monthly program that has been sent to you by Swami Abhedananda ji, I am to speak on Swami Abhedananda, another of the 16 monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, whose birth anniversary was last Monday. So we had Swami Abhedananda ji's birth anniversary last Monday. So I will speak on his life based on Swami Chetanananda ji's book, God Live With Them. When we started these classes 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that I will concentrate on the spiritual relationship that these disciples had with Sri Ramakrishna. But please keep in mind that the charting of the trajectory of spiritual growth in an individual is difficult. Why? Because spirituality is internal and not visible outside. When you write or speak about a person's spiritual trajectory or growth, you have to infer certain things from their external actions. This is hard to do unless, of course, you have an autobiography. Luckily, we have an autobiography of Swami Abhedananda, the subject of today's class. But I haven't read it or had easy access to it. It is in Bengali and it's called Amar Jivan Katha, or My Life Story. I will be basing my discussions on the chapter on Swami Abhedananda as presented in God Live With Them by Swami Chetanananda. Swami Chetanananda ji draws a lot from Amar Jivan Katha, which is Swami Abhedananda's autobiography. Swami Abhedananda was called Kali Prasad Chandra in his monastic days. He was born on 2 October 1863 in North Calcutta. So he was about 3 years younger than Swami Vivekananda. His father, Rashiklal Chandra, was an English teacher at the Oriental Seminary. Kali Prasad was from Rasiklal's second marriage to Nayantara. She gave him the name Kali because he was born in response to her prayers to goddess Kali. Kali, just like Narendra or Swami Vivekananda, was versed in Indian and Western education. He studied the Sanskrit language and Sanskrit literature, ranging from the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita to Hitopadesha, and Kalidasa's works like the Raghuvamsa, Shakuntala, and the like. Among the Western books that he read were Herbert Spencer's Education, John Stuart Mill, and Wilson's History of India. Kali Prasad was not only a voracious reader developing his intellect, but he also developed his body by swimming in the Ganges and working out at a gym. During his youth, he was attracted to Shankaracharya, just like Swami Turiyananda or Hari, another one of Sri Ramakrishna's monastic disciples, and wanted to be a philosopher who delved deeply into things. This desire then morphed into wanting to know the Hindu scriptures, especially yoga, and to attain wisdom. With Sri Ramakrishna. So, just to, there were certain disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, like Kali and Swami Vivekananda and Swami Saradananda and Ramakrishnananda, who were exposed to both Western education and Indian education. And some of the others were mostly only exposed to Indian education. Remember, at that time, as I mentioned to you earlier, Calcutta was the capital of British India until 1911. So as a result, there was it was a metropolis, and people were people were a mixture of both the Indian culture and also Western culture, even though you had groups like the Brahmo Samaj, which were very Western, especially under Keshav Chandra Sen, were very Western. With Sri Ramakrishna, Kali Prasad first met Sri Ramakrishna in June 1884. He hoped that Sri Ramakrishna would be able to guide him along the path of yoga. When Sri Ramakrishna heard his intention to learn yoga, he complimented him and said that he was a yogi in his previous birth and that there was a little left for his perfection. That perfection, Sri Ramakrishna said, will be acquired in this life. This was to be Kali Prasad's last life. On the first visit itself, Sri Ramakrishna initiated Kali by writing a mantra on his tongue and asked him to meditate on Kali, the Divine Mother. We have, even though Sri Ramakrishna initiated, we consider Sri Ramakrishna to have initiated around 16 people. Some of them were not actually done by Sri Ramakrishna, but by Holy Mother, like Swami Yoganandaji. But Abhedanandaji was initiated by Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna initiated him by writing the mantra on his tongue. A mantra is given for repetition in almost all religions, like Catholicism, Vaishnavism, Tantra, Sikhism, Shaivism, to awaken the potential divinity in us. Kali Prasad says that he had deep meditation, losing external consciousness after he was initiated. We find that some of the disciples had this deep meditation or some sort of spiritual awakening after they were initiated, and Kali Prasad was one of them. Kali Prasad says that he had deep meditation, losing external consciousness after he was initiated. Sri Ramakrishna then brought him back to external consciousness by stroking his chest. Kali Prasad then conveyed to Sri Ramakrishna what he had experienced. Further, Sri Ramakrishna instructed him on how to meditate. He also advised him to meditate every morning and evening and to report to him all the spiritual experiences or visions that he had. When Kali Prasad's father, Rashik Lal Chandra, came looking for his son to Dakshineshwar, Sri Ramakrishna said to him that his son is a great yogi. After his first visit, Kali Prasad felt a tremendous attraction for Sri Ramakrishna. This is something that we still see among serious and dedicated devotees, monastic or lay. They feel a tremendous attraction for Sri Ramakrishna, like Narendranath or Swami Vivekananda, Master Mahashay or Girish Ghosh. This divine attraction is called Yogamaya by Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Kali Prasad's parents tried to lock him up in his house to prevent him from going to Dakshineshwar. So, to a lot of the people who came as friends, admirers, or devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, they all felt a tremendous attraction towards him. Not everyone may have that, but these people did. And even now, people have a tremendous attraction for Sri Ramakrishna or Holy Mother or Swami Vivekananda. And this is sometimes very hard to explain. It is difficult for us to explain why these people have that tremendous attraction, but they feel it. And Sri Ramakrishna called this Yogamaya in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Under the spiritual tutelage of Sri Ramakrishna, Kali Prasad had many visions of gods and goddesses. This seems to be like Savikalpa Samadhi. These are dualistic in nature because the difference between the knower, known, and the process of knowing is maintained. This is technically called Triputi Beda. But once Kali Prasad had an experience when he saw multiple gods and goddesses, incarnations of God like Sri Ramakrishna, Christ, Chaitanya, and others, merge one by one into the luminous form of Sri Ramakrishna. When Kali Prasad rushed to Sri Ramakrishna and told him of his vision, Sri Ramakrishna was happy and replied that he had experienced Vaikuntha, the abode of Vishnu, and that he would never have these dualistic visions anymore, but progress to the formless state. What do we learn from this? We learn from this that there is a definite spiritual trajectory or spiritual path of or a tiered path of spiritual progress. One goes from dualistic experiences to experiences of the formless impersonal Brahman. After this experience of Vaikuntha, Kali Prasad was fully convinced that Sri Ramakrishna was a divine avatar or an incarnation of God in the Hindu sense, and not like the movie by the name. You know that there's a movie called Avatar? Their concept of avatar, there may be some similarities with what we call avatar, but it's not the same thing. So it is not in that sense, but in the Indian sense of it being a manifestation of God or a special repository of divine power. What do we learn from this? So we learn from this that there is a definite spiritual trajectory or tiered path of spiritual progress. Swami Chaitanananda quotes from Swami Abhedananda's autobiography, in which he says that watching Sri Ramakrishna's God intoxicated state, particularly his interaction with the Divine Mother, made him feel that Sri Ramakrishna was no ordinary being but God. Now, is it rational to consider Sri Ramakrishna to be God? This is an important issue to be considered. The direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna who saw him in samadhi or spiritual absorption may have had direct perception of this. All those who appear in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna had direct perception of Sri Ramakrishna in a spiritual state or ecstasy. But what about us? We have to take the testimony of those who directly interacted with him. Now, one of the most critical of those who came in touch with Sri Ramakrishna was Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar. He was a physician in allopathic medicine who later switched to become a homeopath. Even though he made this switch, he was a great champion and believer in the hard physical sciences. He was the founder of the Indian Association for the Cultivation of Sciences in Jadavpur, Kolkata, which still exists. To those of you who have studied the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna will be aware how critical he was in accepting Sri Ramakrishna and what that meant to the devotees. Kali Prasad, in his reminiscences, says that he saw Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar examine Sri Ramakrishna when he was in samadhi and when he did not have external consciousness. Dr. Sarkar first felt Sri Ramakrishna's pulse, but he did not feel the heart pumping. Then Sarkar tested him with a stethoscope, but he could not get a heartbeat. Next, Dr. Sarkar stuck his finger into Sri Ramakrishna's eyeballs. Here also, there was no response from Sri Ramakrishna, who was oblivious to everything. The doctor was flabbergasted. Sri Ramakrishna later returned to external consciousness. It wasn't Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar alone who tested Sri Ramakrishna. Narendra, or Swami Vivekananda, also tested him. But he did this with some coins. He wanted to know if Sri Ramakrishna was really averse or sensitive to kanchana or gold or money. He wanted to know if Sri Ramakrishna was really averse or sensitive to kanchana or gold or money. He did this by hiding a few coins under his mattress. Sri Ramakrishna, when he tried to sit on his bed, could not sit down on account of the coins. There was a reflex action of him getting up from his bed like he had been stung by a scorpion. Even though this is not related to Swami Abhedananda, I narrate it because Sri Ramakrishna has been tested by not only scriptural pundits, but those well-versed in the scriptures, but also by people from the modern hard sciences like Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar. So Sri Ramakrishna has been tested when he was practicing his sadhana under Vairavi Brahmani. Vairavi Brahmani checked his experiences with those in the Vaishnava and the Tantra scriptures. So she was one of the persons who uh, tested Sri Ramakrishna. And there were also others during his period of sadhana that Swami Saradananda documents in his Leela Prasanga, or Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, or Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. So he was tested by orthodox pundits, and he was also tested by men of science. So we may not be able to understand him, but they had a vast knowledge against which they tested Sri Ramakrishna. It should also be mentioned that Kali Prasad served Sri Ramakrishna like a disciple. He did this not only in Dakshineshwar, but also when he was moved to Shampukur and Kosipur. In March 1886, there was an incident related to Kali Prasad's spiritual progress. It was Shivaratri, when one keeps awake at night and worships at the four quarters of the night. After the first quarter, all of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna left the room at Kosipur, leaving Narendra or Swami Vivekananda and Kali Prasad or Swami Abhedananda. Narendra asked Kali Prasad to touch his body while he meditated. When Kali Prasad touched his body, he felt something like an electric shock enter into him. As a result, when he was meditating in the second quarter of the night, he had deep meditation and lost outer consciousness. Sri Ramakrishna then called Narendra to him and asked him not to waste the accumulation of his spiritual power. He said that Kali Prasad was developing in a particular way, and now he has been infused with Swamiji's ideas. Next, clarity on the spiritual path. There are two incidents which describe the clarity that Sri Ramakrishna brought to Kali Prasad's spiritual life. The first is what Swami Chetanananda opens his chapter on Swami Abhedananda with. It happened at Kosipur. Kali Prasad was using a fishing rod to catch fish from a pond in the garden. When Sri Ramakrishna got to know this, he said to Kali Prasad that it was a sin to catch fish with a fishing rod. Kali Prasad defended his action by quoting from the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where the immortality of the Atman or self is enunciated. Then Sri Ramakrishna tried to convince Kali Prasad through different arguments and finally requested him to meditate on what he said. Following Sri Ramakrishna's instructions, Kali Prasad meditated for 3 days. After meditating for 3 days, Kali Prasad found that attracting fish with a hook covered by bait was deceiving the fish. Kali Prasad then went back to Sri Ramakrishna and told him that he had understood. Sri Ramakrishna was very happy. This is one incident in which Sri Ramakrishna tactfully clarified Kali Prasad's ideas without forcing him to accept what he said. The second incident occurred at Shampukur or Kosipur. Kali Prasad was then filled with Advaitic ideas. He studied the Ashtavakra Samhita and other books. His ideas were bordering on atheism. Sri Ramakrishna got wind of this and asked him point blank if he had become an atheist. not believing in God or the scriptures. Kali Prasad answered that he will not believe until he realizes God himself. Sri Ramakrishna was impressed with Kali Prasad's sincerity. He said that a day will come when Kali Prasad would accept everything. This is another incident in which Sri Ramakrishna shed some light on the life of Kali Prasad or Swami Abhedananda. After Sri Ramakrishna's passing away, Swami Abhedananda, just like his brother monks, took sannyasa in January 1887, staying at the Baranagar Mutt, and travelled to some places around India after Sri Ramakrishna passed away. In August 1896, Abhedananda left for England at the call of Vivekananda. There he preached Vedanta based on the Panchadasi in his first lecture. Abhedananda spent about a year in London. Over this period, he met Max Muller from Oxford, who translated the Vedas and other works from Sanskrit to English. He also met Paul Deussen, an academic who had a great love for the Upanishads. Abhedananda was instructed to go to America by Vivekananda. He arrived in New York on 9 August 1897. He lectured in and around New York and along the East Coast. Some of the famous people he came in touch with were Thomas Edison, the inventor, Edward Emerson, a relative of Ralph Waldo Emerson, the transcendentalist. On 19 May 1898, Swami Abhedananda met with the President of America, Mr. McKinley, through Mr. Ergin, a member of the House of Representatives. So I think Swami Abhedananda ji is the only monk of the Ramakrishna order who has met with the President of America. Swami Abhedananda also met William James, the father of modern psychology and author of the Varieties of Religious Experience. Abhedananda also gave a talk at his house. He also met up with Swami Vivekananda when the latter was on his second trip to the West. In May 1906, Abhedananda left America for a 6-month trip to India, where he was again in the company of his brother monks. After this period, he was back in America, where he continued the Vedanta work until 1921. He then left America for good and arrived in Calcutta on 10 November 1921. In India, he founded the Ramakrishna Vedanta Society in 1923 and another in Darjeeling in 1924. But he continued to be a trustee of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission until his death. In 1924, in Darjeeling, national leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Chittaranjan Das and others met with Swami Abhedananda. In 1926, he started a Bengali magazine by the name of Vishwavani. In March 1937, Sri Ramakrishna's birth centenary was celebrated. Swami Abhedananda and Swami Vijnanananda, the only surviving monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, participated in the events. On that occasion, Swami Abhedananda gave a talk on Sri Ramakrishna in the All India Radio from its Calcutta branch. This is the only recorded verbal testimony of a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Chaitanananda has translated this and included it in his book, God Live With Them. On 14 January 1938, in spite of severe illness, Swami Abhedananda visited Belur Mutt for the dedication of Sri Ramakrishna's temple. He passed away the following year on 8 September 1939. Apart from what I have covered in this talk, there are other details, but like the places that Swami Vivekananda, that Swami Abhedananda went to in the US and where he lectured, and the other people that he met and stayed with, etc., that I have not included in this. If you want to get a more exhaustive idea of Swami Abhedananda or any of the other disciples, you can refer to God Live With Them. And if you want to know about the householder disciples, you can read They Live With God, both by Swami Chaitanananda. Apart from that, there are many Bengali books as well, if you can read Bengali, like Amar Jivan Katha, which is by Swami Abhedananda. So with this, we close. Thank you.